that's funny, do you?
I know it's funny.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night with Kettle Kitchen and BLOO.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
I'm awake.
You're awake.
I'm awake.
Well, Lori's joined us, so thank you for coming in.
Hi.
Let's go ahead and get started, and then we can just chitty chat.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. I see that Miss SPD has joined us.
Yay, Miss Linda.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. So, what's really going 3?
On, probably.
Huh?
What's really going on, probably.
Oh, okay. I'm doing okay. We're getting asked. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm alive. I'm awake. That's a good start to any day.
Yes. Yes. So, I'm going to make this as much as possible a no politics zone tonight. How's that sound? Anyway, it's going to be so hard. But I do want to talk about something, and I told you earlier, we have quite a few people that have showed up for. We're still short 3 dates, but we got 27 channels that are helping us out with the world is your dinner plate.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm shocked at some of the countries. I'm just shocked. So, and I think there might be 1 or 2 that you don't even know are there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Go on. Who have we got now?
Well, some of these will sound repeat, but when I hit the ones I think you may not have heard, then I'll tell you.
Okay.
And one of them I'm still waiting on. She's trying to decide, but she knows she's got to make her decision soon. So, Haiti, Mexico, Singapore, Denmark, Morocco, Costa Rica.
Wow.
Nicaragua, Finland, Hungary, Wales, Japan, Austria. I got to tell you a little thing that happened. Actually, I'll stop there for just a minute. I sent out, the email to everybody, tell them that I sent out an email, to everybody saying, here's what you got. And some of these channels or some of these countries you can't pick because they've already been picked. Miss Sandy from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming sent me an email. Well, if I can't do Wales like I wanted to, then I'm going to pick a different one. And it's like, no, you already picked yours. You were the one that got Wales. So, okay, got it.
Liza.
Where did I leave off? Austria?
Yeah.
Okay. Malawi, France, Latvia, Thailand, Brazil, Germany, Kiribati Islands.
What?
Yes.
That's amazing.
That is. Argentina. Here's another new one. Oman.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Nice.
Cuba, Vietnam, and Italy. Then Burundi, Greece, and Kuwait.
Wow. See, Oman's part of the Middle East, isn't it?
Yes, I believe it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have and if you've watched my herb and spice videos,
Mm-hmm.
you will know that I did an Omani spice blend.
I think I do remember that.
Mm.
Yep. No, I love the variations. I love the different countries. We're not coming out of one continent. I love it and it's great. And I can't wait to see what it is. I so badly want to tell everybody who's doing what, but me and Blue talked before and I agree with her. I think that's part of the element of surprise.
Yeah. I just love that people have embraced this for the way that it was supposed to be embraced.
Yes.
It's not about doing what you used to seeing. It's not about doing what you used to doing. And I think that's why it's been a little bit of a struggle to get those last places filled, because people are scared of new things.
Yes, it's out of a comfort box.
It's out of your comfort zone. You're trying something new and it's like, hang on a second. Can I really do this? Well, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you just got to do it.
My top 10 spices and herbs on my shelf, if you use them in different ways, will literally transport you to every country in the world.
And I think that's great. That's part of it.
So that's the point. The point is you probably already have most of what you need in your home already. You know, 70% of the world uses rice.
Right.
Okay.
And I will guarantee you probably a good portion of these will have rice in them some way, somehow.
You go through the Middle East, Africa, subcontinents. So you've got Asia then and Eastern Europe. And I will guarantee you, everywhere you go, whether it's a town, a city, a country, someone's home, they will have a version of chicken and rice. And it'll be completely different to what you've just had somewhere else.
Right.
It's almost like it's that universal dish that kind of brings everybody together, because everyone recognizes chicken and everyone knows what rice is.
Right.
So, you know, it's just that everybody does it their way.
Right.
I don't think I've ever done it the same way twice.
Really?
No. And yet it's something that we eat here quite a lot.
Right.
So, you know, it's not exactly a difficult one.
No.
You know, and it is something that everybody recognizes. So it's not, if nothing else, and you're looking and you're worried about it, it's looking up the spice blends of that area, putting them together with ingredients you recognize, because most of the ingredients are universal around the world.
Right. I agree.
You know?
I think the other thing is if everybody does what they're supposed to, which is put the picture of the flag, a picture of the world map, so we can tell where it's next to, which most of these countries you're going to know, but like you said, Oman, you know, I mean, you may not know that, or Kiribati Islands, I mean, you may not know where that's at.
Kiribati Islands, that's amazing. I am so impressed with that.
I'm gonna divulge something. I will divulge that one channel just because I'm floored. Chris and Larry Homestead are doing that.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
Yes.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. I think so what I was saying is, you know, you'll have a picture of the flag, a map, and then you'll have a picture of the flag. And then we've asked to give 5 interesting facts about the country. Now, I'm not going to mention a name, but I already know one channel is not going to do that, and there's a reason behind it, but blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. You still get to see the dish. You still get to see the location where they're at and what the flag is. But it's intriguing to me to, number one, learn a new food or dish that I had never seen before, which I have to assume to some degree a lot of this a lot of these countries I've not seen their food, their traditional food, we'll say. Okay. And the only experience I have to Wales, in all honesty, is either what you've told me or what's the one with the two ladies that was a show?
Two Fat Ladies.
Two Fat Ladies, yes.
They never did Welsh food.
I thought they did. I thought they did two shows that were Welsh.
They might have done two shows that are Welsh. Doesn't mean they did Welsh food.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know, so.
Yeah, no, they did English food for Welsh people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
they might have had an attempt at doing something that was a little bit Welshy, but they didn't actually do, like, because so the reason that I know this for definite, I have all of the books. I have the DVD series. I have all of them. Right. The box set of everything they did. I have every book that Clarissa Dixon Wright ever wrote. And the same with Jennifer Patterson. I've got all of them. Oh, because they are so amazing that I just had to have everything. And they have their own shelf.
Yeah.
In the bookcase.
I love that
Keith
show.
Floyd, who also I have everything he ever did.
I love that show. I could watch that for hours and was just fine.
Oh yeah, and you can get the episodes on YouTube.
Yes, I have. That's where I found them, was on YouTube. Yeah,
exactly. Hey Tom, how you doing? Sunday Dinner Chef is in the house.
Hello.
Hello.
So Tom is another channel that will be joining us for this collaboration. So there you go.
That's exciting.
We just went off of the different countries that are going to be in. We've had some additions. So Oman is another country now. Kiribati Islands.
Yeah.
Argentina. I think everybody had heard the rest of them, I think. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Laurie, motorcycle and sidecar, it's just class, isn't it? I mean, it's class.
Yep. I loved it that they hopped in the motorcycle and just went around the countryside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I loved them. I thought they were fantastic. So
yeah. And both of them have passed now, haven't they?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to get all their stuff. And the thing is that, not everything they wrote was cookbooks. Some of them were travel books and they were about food, but they weren't recipe books, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, if I remember correctly, both ladies were cooks or chefs, right?
Mm.
Of some sort. I mean, I don't know what their discipline was, but
Clarissa Dixon Wright started off as a lawyer.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she struggled with addiction issues.
Okay.
As we all very famously know about Jennifer's struggles, but never said anything.
Right.
Because it's very obvious in some of the episodes that she's been tasting the cooking sherry. Let's be honest.
Yes.
There was a glass for the beef bourguignon and 3 for her. That's fine.
That's the way it went.
That's the way it was. Keith Floyd was another one who was very famous for that. And then there was I can't remember the guy who got known as the Galloping Gourmet. He was another one.
Jeff Smith, wasn't it? Jeff Smith.
Hang on a second.
I'll look it up. You go ahead and talk about him because you know what you're talking about.
He was Graham Kerr. Yeah, so early on in his TV career, he was well known for that. So, but he wasn't. He kind of turned a corner, found religion and completely changed everything. And he was much better for it, which most people are.
Right.
Unless, they decide to start a cult somewhere, which has been known to happen too, but he didn't.
Jeff Smith was somebody. He was a
He was
the
Smith. I've never heard of Jeff Smith.
I know who it was. Let me double check to make sure. The Frugal Gourmet was who he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Graham Kerr was known as the Galloping Gourmet.
Yes, I know that now.
Still. Right. He wouldn't sit still. Jeff Smith was the best.
No, she's right. He was.
Really?
He messed around with boys. Yeah.
Oh.
But I didn't know that when I was watching his shows back in the day. And it was like a guy can cook and a guy can be famous at it and he can write books and all that. So.
Yeah. Well, you know,
we've got
a few famous ones of them here too. So, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't only happen in the cooking industry.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lori. I was sad to hear it, but I mean, it is what it is. And for me, it was even scarier because he lived just 15, 20 miles from my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. See, it was weird. When I was a kid, there were certain people on TV that I refused to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how often do you have a kid that refuses to watch kids programs or kids programming because
I refused to watch him too. I hated Barney. I mean, well,
Barney's one thing. It's a big purple dinosaur. I mean, like, and he was completely ridiculous. But that's one thing.
Completely.
Yes, but if there's someone who's famous for being a kids presenter, you tend to want to watch that, right?
Like JP Patches or Captain Kangaroo or...
Yeah, or the Saturday morning TV type stuff, right?
Right.
But there were ones that I refused to watch as a kid and I would not watch it. Even though my parents were watching it and I was in the same room, I'd find something else to do. Like I would be sitting in the corner playing, or I would, as I was getting older, I'd get a book. And my parents couldn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I just don't like them. And I couldn't figure it out. And later on, as an adult, we find out they've been doing not the right things. And then I go, I told you there was something about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I've always, anyways, that's a whole nother conversation, but it is right there, you know.
Yeah.
And Barney was, I was an adult. I just hated hearing it on TV.
I found Barney patronizing to children.
Yes.
Very patronizing to children.
I agree.
And I found more and more with kids programming that it's becoming more and more patronizing towards children.
Yes.
You know, it's like, no.
When I was growing up, I had what was it? The Great Space Coaster, Captain Kangaroo, Mr. Rogers, which he kind of weirded me out, just so you know that.
Mr. Rogers did?
Yeah. I always
thought he was the nice adult.
He was the nice adult, but he always reminded me of somebody that sat on the other side of a fence, if that makes any sense. And it creeped me out as a kid. I was creeped out by him. So.
Okay, fair enough. I get it.
And then we had, I can't even remember. It was some kind of review thing. It had Charlie the Owl, Freddie the Frog, and Henrietta Hippo, and they were big giant puppets.
I never watched that.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah. Anyways.
Never had that.
Yeah. You get to a point and you start, you know. Anyways, we could sit here and have this conversation all night. I coming back to
HR Puff and stuff. I was just thinking of that, Lori.
I love that show. HR Puff and stuff. I used to always sing, can't get a little and you can't get enough.
There was a point in Australia when my kids were younger and they had all the HR Puff and stuff videos at the time in the supermarket. And they were like $5 each, so I bought them all.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of disappeared over time, but I want to get them again because the kids used to watch them to death. You know, it wasn't something that I knew about until I had kids, you know, but we loved HR Puffers. It was just amazing.
Oh, and then the Bugaloos. Did you guys have the Bugaloos?
I didn't see the Bugaloos until I was older because a lot of your channel, like, okay, so we didn't have a lot of American TV over here or in Australia. No.
Okay.
No.
I loved Martha Ray in the Bugaloos. That was great. Good show.
I mean, the biggest American kids shows that we had over here or in Australia was Sesame Street and the Muppets. So anything to do with Jim Henson. And if he hadn't have had to do the Muppets in London for the first season, because it was the only way he could get it produced, we probably wouldn't have had that.
Oh, wow.
Okay, because you guys say your alphabet slightly differently, and it was seen as an incredibly bad thing and bad grammar to be saying things that way, and you spell things differently, which were confusing to small children.
Oh, we ruin everything for everybody. Sorry.
You know, yeah. Blue's Clues. Oh my God, Tom! I got to tell you that my kids were convinced that I was the voice of Blue when they were little. I had them convinced that I was Blue.
Oh, that's funny. Blue's Clues, Blue's Clues.
Freaking love that. The guy who started that, the guy who wrote it and started it, has now got another show that he's doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and other content stuff. The guy who took over from him was his younger brother.
Oh, okay.
He put his younger brother in there. And the reason he did that was because he was getting on. He was like, he'd been doing it for 10 years. And he was feeling like, hang on a second, I'm getting to an age now where I'm not exactly what I should be for doing shows like this. So he put his brother in there, Joe, and then moved on.
Right.
Yeah.
Never heard of Blue's Clues.
The other one that I really used to love was Bear in the Big Blue House.
I was just gonna say that one. That's how Jaden learned how to potty train, was that show.
Really?
Yes.
See, I got that one because
you never admit it now, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, I get it. But like Saturday morning, right? Okay, so once I'm done with you, my work week is pretty much over.
Right.
Okay, so even though I put out videos now on a Saturday and a Sunday, I tend not to be around for them. Okay, they're just released. Because Tanny and I only get a day and a half to ourselves, he and I, right? So what I do is once I finish with you, I pack up what I've done and I'll go into the living room and I'll have my Saturday morning cartoons.
Right.
So I'll be sitting there and I'll be watching all the kind of stop motion stuff that I used to watch as a kid, from like
Gromit. Oh, sorry.
Well, Wallace and Gromit is one thing, but you've got things like Sorry.
So do you need a moment?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we'll come back to that in a minute, because I think she wanted to say something. She did. Okay. I think this is going to be a good collaboration. I can't wait until we see all of these countries come out. We're still looking for 3 channels to fill the last 3 days. Well, they're not the last 3 days, but they're 3 days I have holes for. A lot of people are busy this time of year, and that's been the problem. So I get it. Oh, your stutter's being rude. Okay. Now I get you. Lori, CRS strikes again. That's funny. Anyway, so I wanted to go through, let everybody know the countries we did have. As soon as we get the other 3, I'll get it out to those that are participating. I'm going to try to get together a little introduction video so that everybody can see what's coming and whatnot. And which channels are going to do what. We're trying to keep it a surprise, but at the same time, I think I'm just going to list the channels and then separately list the countries that are being done, because I do like the idea of letting them tell you which country they're doing. So anyway, that's that.
Okay.
I think unless something's changed, I think Tom's joining us Tuesday for game night, which will be fun.
Woohoo!
Yes. I think that's what it is. I have a couple more I gotta get in there too.
I found it.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to read it. I'm gonna have to read it because my brain and my mouth are not connecting right now. So that's why I talk sometimes a little bit slower with my. I do the William Shatner thing.
Da 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 da.
So that I don't get tongue tied.
I get it.
Yeah, but it's all good.
Okay. You've corrected the problem and kicked him out.
I have. Yes, I've slapped my tongue around. You just haven't seen that bit.
There you go.
How very rude of you.
You're funny.
In the 80s, kids here and in Australia were very spoiled by some very talented children's programmers and animators. Okay, we had a lot of stop motion children's shows.
Okay.
In fact, probably 90% of what we watched was stop motion and puppetry.
Oh wow.
So, you know, we that's what I do on a Saturday morning now, is I go back and I watch those, because I collect the DVDs, and you can find a lot of it on YouTube as well if you're lucky, and other places. So yeah, I'm a big fan of stop motion, and that's what I do on a Saturday morning. I have my Saturday morning cartoons and I watch stop motion stuff from the 80s, which is very cool.
Nothing wrong with that. Hello, yeah. Skinner Farms, Mr. Josh. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, Josh.
Just a few of us here tonight. Everybody else must be doing things.
Yeah, they're doing their own thing. That's fine. But yeah,
can you explain stop motion to Lori? She doesn't know what that is.
Okay, so stop motion is a form of puppetry.
Right.
Which, if you've seen movies
claymation over here is what some of
claymation is a form of stop motion.
Right.
Okay, so if you've seen shows like Trapdoor and Morph, and they're claymation, and some of the skits, Gumby was claymation, yes, Gumby as well as stop motion. Yeah. So every movement they make has to be micromanaged, so that you're literally moving a millimeter, and then a photograph is taken, and then Davy and Goliath is a really good one. And
that's another one I was going to bring up.
Yeah. Okay, so not that long ago, I was asked to make costumes for stop motion puppets for a stop motion film that was being made. That film is still being made because it takes so long. And I made those costumes back in 2017.
Oh, wow.
That film is still being made because this is how long that process takes. So if you watch things like Box Trolls, they've got like millions of dollars to put into it, and they have hundreds of staff on it.
Jeez.
Okay, so they can afford to have several people doing all the work all at once.
Right.
So that's how they can knock out these films, like take 2-3 years to do it. and it all gets knocked out pretty quickly. If you're doing like a short film on your own, it can take up to 10 years. There's friends of mine who have been working on a film called Dangerously Ever After the book. And they've just completed it, and it's taken them nearly 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And they had the studio in their own basement. And because they're based in New York, they ended up getting flooded twice.
Oh, geez.
And they're going down in the basement trying to get all of this stuff out so that it doesn't destroy the sets.
Right.
So, yeah.
Hello, Leanne. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, honey. But, yeah, so there's a lot of... But there are so many. There is literally hundreds of stop-motion children's programs that were put out. And that's what I do on a Saturday morning, is I get my Saturday morning cartoons in.
Cool. Well, it seems like it looks like, I don't know for sure, that Lori and Leanne are going to get their own private show for the last half hour.
Oh, wow. So, nobody loves us anymore.
It's okay. We'll get through it.
It's okay.
Yeah, I used to watch Davy and Goliath. I used to watch every Sunday.
Do you remember that Christmas movie, with the little
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, or Frosty the Snowman,
motion.
or
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Ice Crystal. I'm Mr. Snow.
Yeah. But see, a lot of that stuff was stop motion, and they take years to make because they don't film it like a film. When you're making a film, you've got lots and lots of different frames. Mm-hmm. Well, you've got in stop motion, you've got to take a photograph and make those frames.
And that's the hard part about it, yes.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what my mother's outside deciding to be an Olympian for.
She's getting into the spirit of things.
Yeah. So, what is the show you could not stand?
The show I could not stand?
Yeah. When you were growing up as a kid, you were like, it came on and you're like, no! Aside from the weirdo kids creator people we talked about already.
They would have been the ones.
Oh, okay.
They would have been the ones. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There was a show that used to come on, and I just roll my eyes and go, "Oh, I can't sit here and watch this." Oh, it was way back.
Oh, I know what it was. What? Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh, I hated that cartoon.
Josie and the Pussycats. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Because I was never that kind of girl. Never have been, never will be, you know? And they were trying to say that was rock music. And it was like, no, it's not. How is that rock music? That's not rock music. Because at that point, I'm listening to things like Iron Maiden.
I always thought that
they didn't run
cartoon,
around with, like, you know, no.
I didn't like that cartoon because it always seemed like they were trying to sexualize the characters, and I just didn't care for it.
I was very uncomfortable with stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of why I didn't watch things like Saved by the Bell. And when it finally came over to places like Australia and the UK when I grew up, I didn't like stuff like that. It made me very uncomfortable, and I didn't like it.
Right.
And I couldn't verbalize it because I didn't really understand why.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also why I didn't allow my kids to watch things like, you know, the Nickelodeon live stuff and stuff like that. I mean, they grew up on things like Real Monsters and Rugrats, but you know, they did the Klasky Zupo kind of stuff, but
Hold
not
on just 1 second.
Yeah, not the live action kids shows. If you understand what I mean, because I was never comfortable with that. I really wasn't. Oh, far out. Yeah.
There was another one, but even what about even like adult shows, adult TV shows?
I wasn't really allowed to watch stuff much.
Oh.
I got to watch Chips.
Oh, I love the Chips.
And I think I got bored with it halfway through because it was just over my head kind of thing.
Right.
I know we watched Street Hawk. I know we watched Airwolf. And I know we watched Knight Rider and the A-Team. Okay, so they were ones I remember watching.
Right.
But Star Trek I didn't get to see until I was a teenager.
Really?
No, it wasn't something that Doctor Who though.
Oh my Lord, Doctor Who.
Yeah. Yeah, Doctor Who. Yeah, that was something that was absolutely. Yeah. But see, my parents, you gotta remember my parents are a lot older than other people's parents because my parents were actually my grandparents. So you know, once snooker season started, that was it.
Right.
Yeah.
There was time Star Trek. I liked Star Trek as a kid. Excuse me. But it got so slow and boring at times that I remember falling asleep watching it.
I've actually started rewatching the movies from beginning to end.
Right.
And
The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. See, I wasn't allowed to choose what I watched. Once Mum was in that room, all I was a remote control.
Go turn it to 2. Go back to 4.
Turn it to this.
Go
turn
back
it up. Turn it down. Do this. Do that. That's all I was. It didn't matter.
Right.
You know, if Mum was watching TV, Mum was watching TV. You know, there was none of this going and turning it on and, you know, waiting for whatever and then getting shirty because Mum and Dad decided they didn't want to watch that.
Yeah.
That was like, no, it was Mum's TV. It wasn't even Dad's TV. If Dad wanted to watch football, Mum had to be out of the house and probably in a different town.
Really?
If he wanted to watch the cricket or football, yeah. So what he used to do is during football and cricket season, when the games were on, he'd take the ironing up to the spare room and the transistor radio, and he'd go and listen to it up in there and do the ironing.
I love it. Give me just a second.
Mum refused to have sport on TV. Yep.
Unless I'm still here. I had to blow my nose. Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah. So, TV was the babysitter while Mum and Dad were out in the barn milking the cows. Wow. Okay. Yeah, see, I didn't have that. I literally, after breakfast, my kids used to get booted out the back door and get told to, you know, go play. Because at that stage, they had a lot of area to play in, you know. And then they found their way to the local quarry through our back gate, which was like down the back field. And then I would end up with them coming home barefoot and their shoes full of yabbies, which are like crayfish.
How would they get full of that?
Because they would catch them and put them in there. Yes. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, we used to get to watch that. I used to get to watch Grizzly Adams as well, which is why I now have the DVD box set. I found it. And I know people don't watch DVDs anymore, but actually, I feel like I want to have something tangible. Do you know what I mean? I don't like the whole, especially like after what happened last week with the whole internet situation and things like that. To me, it's very much a, well, if the internet goes off,
right,
and I need to keep certain people quiet or chilled or whatever, we've still got things that we can watch. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm trying to. So every month, as part of my stock, like how you do the £5 prep.
Your resource collection.
Yeah, so I have a certain amount put away for books, and I have a certain amount put away for DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
So whether I get one a month or I save that and get a box set the next month is entirely. But the box set that I want is over £100 at the moment. So I'm like,
yeah.
We're like, no, that can wait.
Another one we used to watch, which I'm sure a lot of people did, was MASH.
MASH. Yeah, that's one that's on my list of I must haves.
Yeah. I liked the show myself.
I loved MASH. I absolutely loved MASH. And there was nothing nasty about it.
Mm-mm.
Even the bits where Hawkeye's chasing girls around, it wasn't offensive, and it wasn't
wrong. Yeah.
No, it was just him mucking about. There wasn't that level of it to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which a lot of shows seem to have this very ick side to it.
The ick factor.
The ick factor. Yeah.
That is funny, actually. The ick factor.
The ick factor. Yeah. Yeah, the ick factor.
Yeah. I always remember like Barney Miller and All in the Family, Jefferson's, Good Times, Welcome Back, Carter. But some of those shows I'm sure you guys didn't watch because they just weren't directed.
They weren't relevant.
They weren't relevant to you guys.
They weren't relevant. And there was a big thing because there's a lot of ways that, I mean, we've talked about using words in different ways between you and I, and on here as well.
Right.
But you very much spell things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And certain letters are said differently. And because of that, certain programming was not allowed in the UK and Australia and New Zealand because of it.
So I got to tell you something real quick, and I won't divulge information, so don't be worried about that, okay? The story you told me about the trip you went on, and then you went right outside the shopping area, and you had that one lady help you. It took me almost 2 hours to figure out what you had been talking about because of what you just said.
Right.
We use different terms, and so the way you termed it wasn't what my brain was picking up on. And after we got off the phone last night, I was like, what was she talking about? And so I talked to Patty, and she had to explain it to me, so I get it now. But anyways, my point is to agree exactly with what you just said.
Yeah.
The language, even though we have theoretically the same words, they're either spelt differently, they're spoken differently, they're pronounced differently. And so
Yeah.
you will lose it, because
Absolutely. And the big thing was for over here and in Australia was children getting confused at a time when they're learning to read and write and put things down, right?
Right.
So if you've got kids that are struggling with that and you suddenly put them in front of Sesame Street and they're saying things completely differently,
Right.
then you've got an issue because they're getting confused and then they're getting told off at school for something that,
Hello, Heather. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, Heather!
My mom told me, Ma Kettle, we'll call her. She was telling me a story the other day, and I had heard it before, but I guess it just didn't sink in. Up until she was in junior high, because she went to Catholic schools because her mom and dad were Catholic. She would get smacked on the hand every single day with a ruler because she was left-handed.
Yeah.
And they would try to correct it, and it's like, what the heck?
I went to a school that was still doing that.
Really?
Yeah, when I was first in primary school, there was a boy in my class who used to have a thing where his hand was tied behind his back.
Yes. She told me stories about doing that too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't understand the outlying effects of something like that. My mom, and Blue knows what my mom looks like. She is native as native.
Beautiful.
But she's very dark skinned, and when she was younger, she was even darker skinned.
Yeah.
And she would be harassed racially because of her dark skin constantly. And when she finally sat down and told me the story, I had tears in my eyes because I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my kids to ever have to go through the stuff I did as a kid.
No. Absolutely not. And that's the thing.
I know that was off topic, but I mean,
that's cool. That's cool.
You hear these things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me well enough to know my character and what have you, even off camera. And I have been called a racist more often in the last 2 years than I have in my entire life. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Whatever.
And I'm like, okay.
They obviously don't know you very well.
Well, some of these people are people that I have known for many years and have known me for many years. And yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You have never, ever, ever come across to me as a racist person. Never.
Okay, so I don't know if I've ever told you this. I think I've told you the story about my personal worst day with my kids.
Yes.
Which is when I was sitting with my kids and we were watching Hairspray. The one with Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Right.
Okay. So when... Hey, Xander. My son turned around to me, Bam turned around to me and he said, Mum, is the black person Michelle Pfeiffer? Because he didn't understand about skin color because I'd never taught them. I'd never taught them that. And it was not something that I wanted to teach my children. I wanted them to see people for people.
Right.
So he didn't understand because this was such a big deal. Now, at the time he watched this, he was like 7 or 8. So you'd think that he would have got some of that from school.
Right.
But he never did. And I actually had to sit, and it took me 3 hours for the penny to drop.
What was it?
And he couldn't, he still, for 3 hours, he could not understand that, a black person meant their skin. And it took me to turn around and say, well, your friend so-and-so at school, and they went, yeah, and well, they're considered black.
Right.
But they're not black, Mum.
Yeah.
You know, they're brown, they're
Right.
chocolate colored. You know, it just didn't.
That's Isaiah
did
still
not
to this
compute.
day doesn't
It
see it
didn't
that way.
compute.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest day for me because I had to. So when people say that racism isn't taught, or you know, it isn't taught, it's just intrinsically there. That's not true.
I don't think
Racism
the
is taught. Intrinsically.
Yeah, whatever. I'm going to move. It being there that way, I don't agree with that. I think it's something that is learned or taught.
Yes.
But what I think a lot of people don't realize, there's a lot of outside resources that do the teaching that
Yes.
you don't see, you don't hear, you don't watch, whatever it may be, you know.
Yeah.
Because I 100%, and it's been proven, you can take a kid that doesn't know, if you take a kid, a white kid, we'll just say, and you put him in front of an Asian person, a black person, and we'll say another white person, just, you know, for the third person, they won't know the words that everybody else has used.
None.
They won't know that that's a bad thing, a good thing, or an okay thing. No. They're going to treat them just like anybody else. They just look different. That's the way their perception is going to be. So it has to be, yes, Lori, I agree. To me, it has to be taught by somebody.
It absolutely has to be taught by somebody. And if it's not taught, then they can't learn it.
Right. I'm sitting here, and I got to tell you this because I found myself in this issue last night. And I'm not going to make this political, but I'm just giving you the example. I was watching a show last night, and they were talking about the way our elections were going right now, and how a momentum gets built up and people follow through. Okay, blah 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 blah. All of that really doesn't matter, but I'm just trying to give you the setup to it. So, anyways, they go and here I am. I am classified. I'm classified Native American and white, but more white because of different things down the road. Okay. Yeah. In my history, in my past. So that neither here or there. The show was like, it's all about black people. It's all about blacks need to band together. Blacks this and black this. Now, I'm not here. This is not a racial thing. It's just I want to give you perception of how, when you don't realize what you're saying, it comes off, which then leads to the feelings and the thoughts that kids have because they're hearing the same things. And I'm not teaching anybody anything. It's me talking, so I'll just keep on talking. Anyways, and I was sitting there and I was like, you know, not all the people that watch your show are black. Not everybody is got the same thought process. But you can still unite as a community or coalition of people in the same kind of theory. My whole point I'm trying to get to, okay, is that was a good example. That was a good example as to just hearing something. You can be twisted around. You may not think it. You may not agree with it. You may not be a part of it. But just hearing it. Yeah, it can
change things. That's the thing, and it's like I'm not talking about not teaching kids about their culture,
right?
Okay, because culture and family and community is really important, important to a human being's well-being, no matter where you come from in the world, right? Skin color just happens to be how close to the equator you are and what the weather is like in your country most of the time, right? That's literally it, you know.
Right.
So that to me is irrelevant. It's an irrelevance. But see, I'm also autistic, so to that I look at what is the same. I don't look at the differences because otherwise I get too confused by it. So I don't teach it because I don't know it to teach it.
Right.
Whereas I am really interested in people's cultures. and I want to learn about their cultures, and I want to learn about what they do. I'm not talking about, you know, taking something from their culture and saying that it's mine, because I'm not. Right. You know, and that's the whole argument with cultural appropriation and all this kind of stuff. It's like, well, okay, so don't eat Chinese food. Yeah. Don't sit there at a Chinese with a Chinese dinner in your hand and say, oh yeah, you're culturally appropriating this or that. Right. You know, because you're just eating something from somebody else's culture, which means you shouldn't be doing that, surely.
Right.
You know, so
no, I get it. I agree with you 100%.
But see, this is why, you know, I've got people who've known me for 10, 15, 20 years who are finally turning around and going, oh my God, you're so racist. And I'm like, no. No more.
I look at it this way, you know, and I, BLOO, you know me more than anybody as far as YouTube goes. Okay. You and Michelle, I talk to all the time, and Michelle's the only person on YouTube that's ever met me. Okay. Michelle and her husband. And I'm just not that way. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what country you come from. Now, that has issues within a political environment, but it's not that I'm projecting that out there. Okay. No. Meaning the bad part of the political environment. I don't look at somebody and say, well, you're green, purple, and orange, so I don't want to talk to you, and if I do see you, I'm going to ridicule you. We are all part of a human race. That's what we're a part of, and we all have different characteristics. That's what should be different.
But see, this is a thing. Okay, people are drawing these lines in the sand. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand it's not making them stronger, it's making them weaker.
Making them weaker, I agree. Yes.
Because you're making smaller and smaller and smaller communities to the point where we can't band together because there's so many differences.
Right.
That, you know, and that's what they want.
Yes, I agree.
And we need to be pulling down those fences and going, do you know what? These labels are not necessary.
They're not.
We're not saying get rid of your culture. We're just saying certain things are not necessary.
Right.
And they're irrelevant.
Right.
They are irrelevant. It's like, you know, so I'm not going to get into the other topic, but yeah, you know, those kinds of things, there are certain things that are being lines drawn in the sand that are irrelevant to who you are within a community and who you are as a human being.
It's about here.
It's about here and what's here. Yeah.
That's the only two things that matter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, I will stop on that. I think we may have lost a couple of people because of what we were talking about. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm
so sorry.
Bad at the moment.
I went down a rabbit hole and should have pulled myself out.
And you took me with you.
Yes, I did. I'm glad you came along for the trip. I appreciate that. So in the end of it, it was I just want to say I think we got a good collaboration that's going to come up. I think everything's going to work out with that. A lot of good countries to look at. And like Dark Lord Minute says, I gained him, so that's all that matters, right? We like all of our friends.
We love all of you. We do, you know?
Yeah.
Whether there's 100 of you or one or two of you.
Or two of you occasionally.
Yes. You know? It doesn't matter.
No, you know? I agree.
We've all got lives, and we can't always be where people expect us to be all the time, you know?
No. And you just pick up the pieces and continue on. That's what you got to do. So.
Well, it wasn't until this morning when I woke up whether I knew where I'd be here at all.
And I waited until you got a hold of me and said I'm on my way. I actually hadn't moved. to the thought of being by myself, and I tried to get a hold of Heather, but Heather was busy. So I knew it was going to be a solo show. That's what I knew. So, but you didn't know it until you woke up and realized.
No, I didn't know until I woke up.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Well, I'm going to let everybody go. I'm going to let everybody have a nice weekend. Be safe.
I'm going to go watch some submission.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to those that did show up. We appreciate it. Those that modded, we appreciate that. And be safe, guys. That's all we ask. All right. Thanks, BLOO.
Bye.
Bye.